Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and Tite-Reach, the company that makes these extension clamps, including a little micro one I just did a video on, they also make these extension wrenches like this, kind of a chain drive mechanism where you can hook up a ratchet or an impact driver on one end and then have basically a low profile access point. And so they make low profile sockets to fit into these things. So what I've got is an example here where I could, drive this end and basically get the tightening or loosening on this end way down there. Well, if you've already got this set, what would be better than being able to run it on a traditional ratchet, especially when designed for low profile. So let's take a look at this because Tite-Reach has got a couple of these out now. They have a 1/4" 72 tooth and a 3/8 drive 72 tooth. That means about a 5-degree arc swing. You can hear that. Nice and clean sounding. Reversible, obviously. Low profile. It's kind of thick here, but that's has to do also with, being able to grab hold of their mechanism there. So you can see, there's not a lot of wasted space, even though it's kind of a girthy. But anyway, that's what it looks like. So I've got a 15 here. Here is a snap-on with a shallow, kind of a traditional shallow 15 on there. You can see that. And this is the difference. I mean, basically you bought yourself about 1/2 inch more clearance. And that can be critical in a lot of engine bays or in areas where you really can't get the full thickness of something into the little area that they allow. And you see I also switched this. This is reversible, meaning if I back this out into something, which does happen, is the fastener gets backed out and then you're stuck, and if you can't reverse the mechanism to put it back in to release your tool, you might be in trouble. And some people have shared stories where they've had to cut the tool off. But anyway, so you can run it on either side, just like that. Craftsman makes a low-profile 1/4" ratchet of somewhat questionable integrity here, but even that, if I go to a 1/4" with a 10 shallow and compare it, what I've got is also a little bit extra clearance. Even though that's a 15, I could throw a 10 on here. A little better comparison. Look at the difference right there. Pretty amazing, huh? That's a 3/8 drive, full strength ratchet compared to this low profile little Craftsman here with a 1/4". This is 3/8 drive. I mean, that's a big deal here. Obviously, I could throw a 10 on, might as well, because these are fairly uniform. Which one's that? This guy? That should be a 9. What is this? This is, I wish Snap-on had like giant letters. That's a 12. Maybe whoops. Oh, well, that's why I've got this big magnet here. What is this guy? That is, I don't know. Just throw one on for an example here. I can't read the thing. What is this? This is an 11. That's why it looks new, even though it's old. So there's the difference right there. I guess I have an 11 here. Might as well even it up. There we go. Look at that. So I've got the Tite-Reach on this end, and the snap-on. That's what you're working with. And as the clever engineers seem to stick more and more stuff into a smaller and smaller engine bay, you can see why these little tiny, small, low-profile ratchets are becoming critical. Now, you could spend the bucks if you wanted and buy the Snap-on set. I did a video on this. I was able to find one at a pawn shop and then went ahead and bought the extra pieces, even though that cost about the same as the whole set. But now you're in the $300 to $400 range, and you've got a low-torque socket, or a low-torque ratchet here. It is small, but you wouldn't want to reef on it like you would a full-size ratchet. So there's that. Anyway, the idea, I guess, behind these is to take your existing shallow or low-profile sockets to the next level by being able to drive them easily with hand tools made specifically for those. I love that idea. You know, I don't know if it's supposed to. That's just what I do. Be able to turn that if I had to reach in and make that connection. Something to be aware of. Be able to flip the switch when I'm backed up against something. But anyway, I thought I'd bring those to your attention. There they are, the Tite-Reach 72 tooth low profile ratchets, designed to work with your existing Tite-Reach low profile sockets. And with that, Doc out.